It's your man, Big Spanish DJ Enuff, world famous heavy hitters, with another edition of GOAT Talk. And this is a super, super special one for me because I said it before, but these are the guys I really, really looked up to when I was coming up in this game called hip hop. I got the legendary, one of the most celebrated B-boys of all time, my brother, Crazy Legs, in the building. How you doing, Mr. Legs?
I'm good.
I'm glad you're here, brother.
I'm chilling, man.
And one of the reasons why I became a DJ is because of this guy right here, Mr. DJ Charlie Chase, co-founder of the world famous Cold Crush Brothers.
Yes.
So thank you for being here, Charlie.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
And with this, the story must be told. And we're going to tell it today.
You know, I'm just thinking, man.
What are you thinking about, bro?
When Jay-Z said he was going to do something to the industry because of what they did to the Cold Crush Brothers.
They were overcharging, yeah.
Yeah. Did he give you a percentage?
I'm leaving that one alone.
But even the fact that he mentioned that
was great.
Dope. Amazing.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I love that.
It needed to be said. It needed to be made aware of.
Right.
That was a powerful statement, especially for, like, even for myself. Of course, I'm a Cold Crush fan myself, but when I heard that, it hit me in a way. It was like, that's my childhood, and there was no such thing as a Run DMC or anyone else who came after.
Right.
So before that, it was like the non-documented side of hip hop, unless it was a cassette tape.
Right.
So that for me is my childhood. When Jay-Z said that, I was like, yeah. And then I thought about
dope. That was dope.
Well, you see, Legs was down before he even decided to get into. He used to come to my house at 11 years old to help me move equiment to the schoolyard. So
I
we could
heard
rock.
about this story. We did a special on
Young
Ron
kid.
Mills's.
He always says he stalked me. I never told him he did, but he did.
Well, you don't know, but I would, because he lived on the first floor.
Yeah.
So me and my cousin, we had no business over there other than we knew Charlie Chase lived there, and we were like 10, 11 years old, and we were walking by just see if we see him looking out the window or playing music or whatever, listen for it. Hey man, you gonna DJ today? And he used to DJ over on Hughes Avenue as well for the Chingalings. But then I would go to Tony Tone's place in Lambert Houses.
Right.
He also lived on a level that was close to the
first
sidewalk.
floor. Yeah.
And we used to walk by there trying to look. So we were really stalking, bro.
That's what it was.
But we needed the
stalking.
information. We needed the info because there was no network of information for how to get to a jam or where the jam was going to be unless you ask them, or it gets to like 6 o'clock in the evening, you start
and you
like
hear it.
You hear it echoing, and then you gotta be like which direction is it? Mapes? Is it 118 Park? And that's how we found, and then the word would just spread.
That's a good question. How do you guys determine what park and what day and what time you guys would do your jams?
Well, according to where we lived, the closest park to our area was the park that we claimed to be ours.
Got you.
My park was 118, PS 118.
Right.
It was a schoolyard.
Right.
So it was literally like right across the street from my house.
Okay, I got you.
So that was my park, and that's where I would play. So people would always knock on my window. Yo, are you coming up today? Like, nah. But as soon as I confirmed that we were coming out to play, everybody get on the phone and call everybody else. Yo, what's happening today? People will come knocking on my window. Yo, you need help. But of course, you know how that goes, man. The party's over.
And what year is this about?
Oh, this is
70s.
77 around there when I started getting into the park jams.
Before rap records.
Before Rappers Delight, definitely. Man. Yeah.
What was the music like? What kind of songs were you playing?
Me, I was playing disco, I was playing funk, I was playing salsa, merengue, because that was my
That's what it was,
too.
right.
Those were I grew up. Remember, I was in a Latin band for years before I even became a DJ.
I never knew that. That's dope.
Yeah, I was a bass player for many types of bands, rock bands, funk bands, salsa bands, merengue bands, all that stuff. So when I started DJing, I was playing all that stuff. I was familiar with all of it. Rock, I was in rock bands, so I played rock music. I think, I make a joke of it, but sometimes I think that I was the first open format DJ because it was like, I was playing it all.
I believe it.
But mostly my stations were like BLS at the time, because it was at a time where stations...
BLS, you see what this is.
BLS is the best.
Right, that was at the time when stations started to become compartmentalized. Like, in other words, now you're just an R&B station, you're just a rock station. Before that, there was this AM station that played it all. And
I remember as a kid, I heard Frankie Crocker play like Hector Lavoe and Ray Barretto on BLS. Yes. And I was like, Wow, this is crazy.
So can you imagine when I started working at BLS up there, and I was with Frankie Crocker? He was one of my idols.
That's
you
crazy.
know, with him.
It's him, my idol, Crocker.
You know what's interesting?
Yeah.
I had this conversation with Grammix DXT yesterday, who recently, like, he's the first person to win a Grammy in hip hop, but he only found out about 4 years ago that he's half Puerto Rican.
No way.
Yeah, his family's from Ponce, so he grew up not knowing why so many people in his family spoke Spanish, because he lived as an African American person in this country. So, you know, anyway, we were talking, and it's funny because when you're looking at people who are like part of the evolution of turntablism, or who was good at mixing or not good at mixing, DST was also a musician as well. So if you look at two of the most reliable MCs, like Charlie Chase, from what I've heard from other MCs, whether it be Melly Mel or Kaz or whoever, he was one of the most reliable to cut on beat. And so DST was telling me, Legs, I always cut on beat because I come from a musician's background. The idea of cutting off didn't make sense. You know, off beat didn't make sense. So yeah, it's interesting that you're recognized as one of the most reliable DJs as an MC for that time, and then he's also, you know, he took what Grand Wizard Theodore did and elevated it to what eventually became known as turntablism. Because then after that, you got The Miz and Jazzy Jeff and all that, who took it to the next level.
100%.
Yeah.
I gotta ask you a question. Who would you say was your competition growing up in this game?
As a DJ?
Yeah.
It was Theodore and Flash.
Okay.
It was Theodore and Flash. We were the three most known for, because remember, there was a Charlie Chase before there was a Cold Crush.
Right.
So I was hitting the streets hard. A lot of people thought I was black.
Right.
Because of the, you know,
Yeah,
it was unheard
I got
of.
the same thing too.
When Tony and I got together, they thought he was Chase and I was Tony. You know? But just to show you how fierce things were between us, we wouldn't talk to each other. It was competitive. We never got into fights or anything.
Nah, I get it.
It was competitive, you know, and we didn't like mean mug each other, but we gave each other that respectful space.
Right.
Then, I don't know if you knew this, but I was the Furious Five's first DJ. I don't know if you know that.
Furious 4.
Well, I'm getting to that.
Oh, wow.
So when the Furious 4, I think it was either Creole, it was definitely Scorp, but at the time his name was Mr. Ness.
Got you.
It was Scorp, and I think it was Mel or Creole.
Right.
They go knocking on my window on the first floor, and I'm like, I was surprised, like, what y'all doing? Yo, can we come and talk? Came in, and they said, look, man, we just left Flash and Black Door. We ain't going back, man. And they said, you the only other DJ we know that can cut like Flash, so we want you to cut for us, be our DJ. Now, this is pre-Cold Crush. I had a crew, but I wasn't, they were okay, but they weren't what I needed. Remember, I come from an entertainment background.
Of course.
I'm on stage with bands. So
That's right.
That's locked into my DNA.
All right.
So they weren't giving me what I wanted.
We're talking
and I knew.
1979 now, right?
We're talking about 78, something like that.
No, there's a flyer for that event. Remember we talked
We did the
about
first
this?
MC convention. The very first, that was our idea. We did it in the Webster PAL in the Bronx. They were supposed to host it, but you're making me move ahead of the story.
Okay, go ahead.
So now, so it was the Furious 4. I'm DJing for them. At that time, Raheem was going through drama with his crew, the Funky Four. So they went and got Rodney C. and and Jazzy Jeff.
The original Jazzy Jeff.
Right, the original Jazzy Jeff and him. Raheem left, and during us getting together, they were already talking, and they became the Furious 5.
Wow.
So I got a cassette, which is only one cassette in existence, with me cutting for them out in the parks.
That's crazy.
In Forest Projects.
That's crazy.
So here's the funny thing, you know, there was, and I'm not going to get into the name. Well, you know, I don't care. There was, you know, Raheem was under the impression that Charlie Chase wasn't really around in the 70s, and then this Charlie Chase did the best response ever. Charlie Chase ends up posting a flyer of, was it a flyer you posted? Where it's like you and the Furious 4, and Raheem wasn't down yet.
Right.
And Raheem thought that Charlie Chase wasn't around. But then Charlie Chase posted the audio online, and someone jumps on the mic in the 70s.
It's Mel. I'm cutting Good Times.
No,
and
no,
Mel is
it was
the same
Raheem.
one?
No, it's Raheem. I listened to it. I'm a fan. Trust me. Charlie Chase posted this.
Sometimes we forget our own history.
Yes.
Just to be clear.
We're talking about 48
So,
years, brother.
I'm clear. I'm clear.
The funny thing is that Raheem was going around saying online that Charlie Chase wasn't around, but then Charlie Chase posted the audio that has Raheem shouting him out that day in the 70s while Charlie Chase was DJing when it was the first time that Raheem rocked with Furious 4 before he was a member.
Yeah.
So that was like the best shutdown ever.
Me and Ryan, we cool. He always calls me my DJ. He calls me, yo, my DJ, come here. Because he remembers from back in the day when we were all together.
That's
you know?
dope.
It was cool, man. You know, and we were together for like about three or 6 months together, just, you know, rocking out. And,
That's
you know,
But that was-
we didn't get to rock a lot, but we did get to rock with each
That's
other. And
dope.
there was their tapes.
That's
But
dope.
it
So
was
that
cool,
was,
man.
but that was big gossip because Furious went with Chase, Cold Crush went with somebody else.
There was no Cold Crush in existence.
No, okay.
We and Tony created the Cold Crush.
Okay.
You see?
Perfect.
I told you we forget our own history.
Yeah. You know, but that was if there was like a hip hop site at that time, that would have been the biggest news ever. That Furious was with Charlie Chase, and
Yeah.
for us, it's like high drama.
It's like, what?
Oh wow! Like this is crazy. Like
Yeah,
we
and at
gotta
that
see
time
this.
when I was DJing for the Furious, Tony had just gotten down with me. We had, you know, we're working together.
Tony Tone, right?
Tony was with the Brothers Disco, which is the funky 4+1 more DJ break out of Barron. He was with them doing all their sound and stuff. He was looking to do a crew, put together a crew. I had one. I was kind of entertaining the idea.
What was the name of your crew before?
I forgot what Charlie Chase and the Tantalizing Trio or whatever that was. I forgot. There's a flyer with it.
Yeah.
And my company was Discotheque Productions.
Discotheque Productions.
Productions. That's what you see the flyer. It'll say Discotheque Productions. That was my spinoff from being with the disco DJs, Tom and Jerry.
That's
I
dope.
was with them, and then I started my crew.
What a dope name, Tom and
Now,
Jerry. Right? It's
Full
crazy.
yeah, right. So that full disclosure, there was another set of Cold Crush brothers before the original crew that you know now.
That's
No
how
way.
I got into Cold Crush Brothers. All right, so for me,
You're gonna laugh.
I became
I wanna hear
a
this.
fan of Cold Crush Brothers because my cousin Lenny Len, who got me into hip hop, who brought me, and this is before it was even called hip hop. He hooked me up with a tape, and it had Mr. T-Bone, Cisco Kid, Teddy Ted, Easy AD, and Little Black. Now, Mr. T-Bone is the one who said...
I know Easy AD.
Yeah.
All the other names I don't know.
So Mr. T-Bone is actually the one who started up my back end, around my neck. Woo-ha! That was in the 70s. That was the first time I heard that.
Right.
So...
Now, the original, after I got rid of two guys, Cold Crush brothers were Prince Whipple Whip, Dada Rock.
Oh, shit.
And then there were two others, Little Black and Teddy Ted, I
Yes.
think, that remained in the group. That was the original Cold Crush. Then Whip and Dot broke out 2 weeks after we formed the group. They left. And then I was after Kaz for years. And Kaz is like, I got my crew. Tony says, why don't we just throw an audition? And that's how we got KG down.
Oh, wow.
Through the audition. AD
KG,
was Tony.
ha, ha,
AD
KG,
got down
ha,
because he
ha.
was Tony's friend.
That's what's up.
Right? And then Kaz came in with JDL and himself. And
That's so crazy.
But you know, the thing that was, I think, unique about Cold Crush is that because of, I think, Kaz and your diversity and appreciation for music, you had them making routines that were the melodies of the Beatles. Who else? You tell me.
David Essex, Rock On. Got that. Yes, yo. Yes, it's true. The Fall got a brand new rapper. That was from that. Cats in the Cradle, Harry Chapin. We got that from
That's
with
dope.
Cold Crush, right? But there was a few more that we adopted from
dope.
there. And that was it. I mean, I'm not gonna take full credit because as we went along, the other members came up with ideas for getting songs to do
That's
routines.
dope.
You know, Kaz wrote all the lyrics. I put in all the music. Sometimes Kaz will come to me, yo, let's rock this with
Yeah.
that. You know, it was a team effort. But mostly Kaz and myself, we were the ones who basically...
Yeah.
Kaz is probably the first identified ghostwriter in hip hop.
I believe that.
Yeah, because he wrote Hank's lines.
I believe it.
But he
Rappers
was
are
writing
right.
a rap even before that.
Yeah.
Because you got it, the undocumented stuff before records, he was already doing it.
Listen,
you know?
Hank, when he said that rhyme for Kaz, when Kaz handed him that rhyme book, he was 16 years old.
Right.
So he was like way ahead of his time.
Way ahead of his time.
You know,
I just got Kaz's book where it has all the lyrics to it.
Right.
I thought that was dope.
Yeah.
I thought that was really dope.
Kaz was and I saw that in him very, very early. That's why I was after him for such a long time, you know. And he did, and I convinced him.
He got it.
Yeah, he got it. And history was after that.
That's it.
It makes sense that Kaz ended up with Charlie Chase anyway, because all of Charlie Chase's earlier girlfriends were all Puerto Rican anyway.
What the heck does that have to do
He
with
loves
that?
he loves Puerto Ricans. Kaz loves Puerto Ricans.
All right, I'm gonna ask you guys a serious question. It's up to you guys if you want to answer or not. Do you think we had to be officially sanctioned by black people to get into the space that we're in now with hip hop?
No, because you had back then. I never, like, you know, as much as I look. First of all, I was like 10, 11 years old when I first saw Charlie Chase.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know why I was drawn to him. I can't say it was because he was Puerto Rican, because the dope thing about hip hop back in the 70s is just that you had to be dope.
That's it.
We all shared the same projects, the same beatdowns from the cops, and, you know, same poverty and all that stuff.
Got it.
So the geography of New York and the way we're stacked up on each other, it makes us one big family. So even where I lived over on Montgomery Avenue on the west side of the Bronx, my mom's best friends were black.
I get it.
And so if we had a party, they were coming in and dancing salsa and dancing to Barry White and all that other stuff. So we shared the same existence.
Throughout everything.
Yeah.
School.
Everything.
Everything. I mean, I think what you're trying to say was, did we need the black artists to validate us in the business, right?
You know why? Because for myself, I always thought that's what separated me from my other Latino brothers and sisters in the game. And remember, I'm not coming from the 70s. I'm coming in the early 90s, right? And so me being
So crazy, I'm
listen,
bugging out on
peep
that.
it. Look, me being down with BET, Kiss FM, Notorious Biggs, DJ. All these were black entities, and it separated me from all my other Hispanic guys. So then, when I was in the black space, no one ever questioned or doubted my dopeness or what I brought to the table, because I was sanctioned by these big things. That's why I asked you if
I think you were sanctioned by your dopeness.
No, I believe that. But I'm
you
just
were
saying,
trash, forget it.
But I'm just saying, on top of it, it's just like the extra check. Ching.
Well, you know, coming from where I come from, I never even thought of it that way. Like, you know, all my life, my best friends were black. All my life. I played in black bands, funk bands, rock bands. I mean, I played, so it was all natural to me. Now, as far as the music goes, Latin music and funk music, R&B music, it all has a type of swing, a relative swing. It's all
African roots anyway.
So it came, funk and R&B came music very naturally to
it.
Play a Latin record and black people around tell me they ain't gonna move.
They're gonna move.
It's the natural thing, man, you know? So I never even realized that there was this whole thing between black and Hispanics until much later on. Now, the first time I realized that it was a thing was at a Zulu Nation meeting we had at the Irving Center downtown. I think it was Irving or Manhattan Center downtown. It was a big meeting. We're sitting there, bunch of Zulus all over the place. One conversation led to another, and, you know, somebody on the mic, and one guy, which is what blew my mind, he steps up and he says, "Yo, we got to give props to the first Puerto Rican DJ and hip hop, DJ Charlie Chase." And I'm like, and they're getting up and clapping and all this, and I'm like, what? Because I never thought like that.
You were baffled behind the
comment.
They're just bigging you up, but at the same time
They
you
were
were baffled.
bigging me up.
Like,
It wasn't an insult.
I wasn't trying to be separate from anybody.
Because I never thought of
But
that.
it indirectly causes a separation.
It does.
And to me, it like for me,
because what people
you
don't seem
dope
to
or not.
understand, no matter what, we tend to naturally just get along or whatever with our own tribe. It's always been like that. It's been like that since before anything was created.
Yep.
You know, that this white crowd, this white tribe was just the way it is. When they saw the dark skinned tribe, they were like, "What is that? Who are they?" It's just natural. It's not like we're trying to disrespect each other, but it's just natural.
It is.
You know what makes it confusing for me? Because, you know, as a kid, I wore my afro proud. You know, that's just picked out everything. No product, no curl activator, nothing.
That's it.
But, you know, I'm not, of course, do I have black DNA in me? African? Yeah, of course. But at the same time, you know, I don't see myself separate. Also because as a kid, I was also that dude that white people call nigger naps because of my hair. You know, and so I knew, I'm not hanging out with those people.
Right.
Like, I didn't even date white girls because I didn't trust white people.
Right.
You know, like, even when when Madonna used to hang out at the Roxy, and everybody would be like, yo, we going up to Madonna's place. I'm like, nah, man, I'm good, man.
You felt weird. You felt weird. Yeah, you felt
yeah,
weird.
because I was only hanging out with black and Latino people, and that's it. I wasn't really trying to fuck with anyone else, because if you try to go through, let's say you're going to go to White Castle in the Bronx, but Little Italy's in between. I had to go all the way around.
Right.
Yeah.
There was no way I could walk through Little Italy. So the way
we talked about that before.
Yeah, the way it is in like a Bronx Tale was exactly like that. Maybe he could walk through there because he's a famous DJ back then.
I got away with a couple of I got away with a couple of things here and there, but I had friends that were killed because they were walking from my house on the 180th and Arthur to Fordham. They would go up 3rd Avenue, and a couple of them got killed by these guys.
Just the way it was, man.
You know? But, you know, like, getting back to the Latino thing, right? From my era, for me to say that I was the end-all, be-all first is false. I was the first to get into hip-hop officially, like, to get in, like you said, be sanctioned, like to be validated.
Right.
I was the first one. There were others, but none of them had the skill that I had. That's why they couldn't break through like I did.
Right.
So I was fortunate, I was blessed enough, and I was at the right place at the right time and got in like that, you know. But there were a few others, local guys, you know, but they weren't that, you know, that lucky.
I know a gazillion B-boys, right? Mm-hmm. But how come none of them are as famous as you?
I would
Look at the size of
say
his head, bro.
you know, and here's the
I know it's a weird.
It's kind of a misconception.
I know, I get it.
How it got there, because when breaking was dying, I was just getting good by '79. Then I moved to Manhattan. I was pulled away from some of my guys, you know, Rocksteady Crew. I wasn't in contact with Jimmy D and Jimmy Lee as often. It was hard to find them. There was no real communication back then. And I started traveling around the city just to find people to battle. Mm-hmm. Because the people I was rocking with before, some of them were stopping. Like, the retirement age of a B-boy was like 16 back then. Right. You know, and I was battling people, and I was kind of like the Borg. I would battle them and then bring them on to me. And I'm listed as being responsible. Like, not only did I cause some evolution, but I inspired other people to break. But the thing is that I would never take that solo credit, because if you don't have someone to battle, it's not you alone.
That's
like, you can't do it alone.
You can't do it alone.
You need somebody to battle.
Mm-hmm.
So that person matters. You may have smoked them, but you needed witnesses to recognize that you smoked them. But then a lot of those people that I battled, I would teach also. And some of them would join Rocksteady, and then they break out and start another crew, which caused an issue within the crew, because people would be like, yo, Legs, man. Yo, that's messed up. Yo, we should we should run up.
I get the same thing.
Yeah, we should run up on dude, but I would be like, no.
I got 120 DJs.
Yeah.
A lot of them come from me,
mm-hmm.
and they do the same thing. They get popular. They start their own thing, and you know, it's up to me. It's like, how you feel about it. You know, let them grow. Let them do what they got to do. I can't stop somebody from trying to do their own thing.
But it also gives you the contrast.
But it also gives you a sense of disrespect. You're like, where's the loyalty? Where's the, you know, we did this together. Why are you leaving? You know, it's just that weird shit.
But imagine if DJing wasn't big, and somebody broke off and formed another crew. Now you have someone to be compared to that identifies you as better legitimately.
Right.
So I would tell the crew, yo, don't worry. Now we got more people to battle.
That's it.
Like, it's all good. The dance was dying by '79. So when we came back, like, if you look at the battle on Beach Street, Little Lep and Flip Rock were in Rocksteady before they were in New York City Breakers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what we attribute that, or myself attribute to what he went through and how he got ahead as to myself. We had a little more. We didn't know what we were doing. We didn't know we were promoters. We didn't know we were producers. We didn't know we were artists. We didn't know any of that. But we were going through all the motions, right?
Right.
The thing was that we had a little more business sense than everybody else in the hood did. Just a little bit more, which was enough that got us over that hump, if you understand what I mean.
Yes.
Everybody else was still trying to make moves and this and that, but they couldn't take it to the next level, which
Right.
well, you had to have the vision to do that, right?
Right.
You had to see where the ship was going to be able to navigate through the rocks and everything. We had that. We had just enough. We weren't freaking Einstein at this, but we had just enough to pull us over the ledge.
Right.
And that's what I attribute
And
that
that's
to.
what helped me is that I think because I started throwing events when New Music Seminar was going on.
I remember.
And what I did was I was like, okay, New Music Seminar is going on. Park jams were almost non-existent back then. I was like, all right, cool. I got with Shauna Hoods and Christina Varan. And we did an event called Straight from the Heart, which was kind of like the rebirth of park jams. But I was like, all right, let's do it during New Music Seminar because we could take that crowd and give that crowd that's flying in from everywhere
A taste of it.
of
Yes.
real hip hop in New York. And that led to the rebirth of park jams. And so if you're asking, why? I think because when you look at big events like a freestyle session, UK B-Boy Championships, just these other big B-Boy events that happen that are really big now around the world, they came to my events and they've told me like, yeah, we started doing this event because of you. We went to your event and I'm like, all right, cool. So
You actually get so mad, y'all.
yeah.
When Legs didn't invite me to the Rocksteady anniversaries, I'm like, yo, why I'm not on this year? I was on last year. What happened this year? And then I see the pictures, I'd be like, come on, man.
And he used to work at my mom's.
It was a thing. It was a real thing.
Yeah, he worked. Him and my mom's worked at the YMCA.
No, Pop.
Where?
I used to be a short order cook. And my stepfather at the time owned a bunch of cafeterias in the Wall Street area. Your mom was, I think, the cashier /
Right,
whatever,
yes,
and
yes.
I was a short order cook. That's how we knew each other.
Small world,
It was
man.
funny because I was into hip hop so much. I was playing radio, whatever. She's like, "You know my son?" And I was like, "Who's your son?" He goes, "Crazy Legs." I said, "Hell yeah, I know your son. Your son's famous." And that was the connect to me and your mom.
And it's cool. I think those stories are interesting because it also brings us back to just like, yo, we're all normal people too. Sometimes people make us out to be in certain situations too much and in other situations too little.
That's it.
But at the end of the day, we're trying to push through and make things happen and take care of our families. And
That's it.
We take our lumps
Yeah,
along
man.
the way. Sometimes we cause our own lumps, but all of our good and bad is magnified because of who we are.
100%.
Yeah, so it's interesting. We just, at the end of the day, I'm a regular dude, man.
Chase, did you have an ill sound system?
When we were coming up with Tony and I, that was our passion, sound systems. When I was with Tom and Jerry, one of the, Tom used to work for Motorola as an engineer, designing amps.
Wow.
So he, as a matter of fact, today, a lot of his name is on a lot of these patents through Motorola.
That's crazy.
He's been with them, when he left us, he went,
That's where he went.
Motorola put him through college.
That's what's up.
And they hired him. So he built amps for me. He
That's
built this
crazy.
little amp one day. We were playing at Monroe High School with Disco King Mario. Mario was set up on the other side of the gym. We were on the other side of the gym. Little Black was my MC, right? And I had 4 Voice of the Theaters with these horns on top of stuff, and I had these 2 little brown amps.
And those amps kicked
his
ass.
Heath kits, right? Tom, he put them together. He built them from this company. They were kits. They weren't even like out in public like the bigger amp companies. We're rocking, and this thing is boom, boom. Mario, he walks over and he's like, "Where are your amps?" And they were right next to my DJ set, right next to the turntable. I said, "Right there." He said, "You full of shit. Those ain't your amps." I'm like, "Look." He walked over, sort of, and he's scratching. He said, "These little things are pushing all this sound." I'm like, "Yeah." Of course, Mario had the system. He crushed me, but we weren't even battling. We were just playing,
I got
and
you.
that's how technological Ruben, which is Tom, was. He was the one that put our sound system together. We had Voice of the Theaters. Now, when Tony came in,
That's
he
dope.
had knowledge from being with putting together the Sasquatch. I don't know if you know,
Yeah.
that was Breakout and Barron's legendary sound system.
didn't know that.
Tony was behind that too.
That's crazy.
They had garbage cans made out of speakers.
That's crazy.
Right. So Tony he brought his knowledge, and BGWs and stuff. The Breakout, he got them from Breakout. We put them on, and we put our systems together. And that's like we prided ourselves on our sound system because
dope.
we didn't want to get crushed, by anybody else's sound system and stuff like that.
You also don't want people leaving.
Right.
Look, for me, I only went to one Kool Herc jam ever. It was at 82 Park over on the west side of the Bronx, and I went there specifically because at the time, Kool Herc and the Herculoids, we all knew that the Herculoids were actually his speakers, and I went there just because we needed to hear or see the sound system that he had, which were the speakers really, and I think that was like the hand-me-down system from Cool DJ D,
Right.
who was already in the parks.
Right.
So yeah.
D had a banging sound system, boy. Ooh.
Yo, can I ask you a question? When I look back at a lot of history and documentaries and I listen to old tapes, a lot of DJs weren't playing music on beat.
Right.
Why was that? Did they not know how to mix? Or was it? I'm not trying to be funny.
Were you talking about mixing or just like the hard
No,
cut?
just when I listen to when I listen to the break beats and the way they play breaks, they a good 8 out of 10 of them didn't know how to transition from one break beat to another.
Right. I mean, it could be it could be a numerous amount of reason. For example, maybe they had one. Two is maybe they had a limited amount of beats, which didn't allow them to really get into that. The other one was that they didn't know.
Right.
You know, a lot of them were just learning. You know, remember, back then, getting a pair of turntable in a mixer was the equivalent of somebody getting a set today in Serato and calling yourself a DJ.
Right.
So back then, a lot of people were just buying records. A lot of people didn't know where to get the beats,
I got you.
or how to dig for them, or anything like that.
Right.
So I mean, there are various reasons. Some of them just didn't know what they were doing. You know what I'm saying? Hey, but at the end of the day,
I mean,
you gotta
it's
know
still,
from the side.
I mean, the good thing, I talked to Clark Kent about this, and he was like,
Which Clark Kent?
The newer Clark Kent.
Okay.
But he said it doesn't make a difference enough. It was still ours, and that I do appreciate. So
the context was being developed.
I'm not taking that away, because when I listen to old radio shows of my superheroes, I'm not going to say the names because I still love them so much. Same thing. I'll be like, yo, this radio show is horrible, but it didn't make a difference. They were still playing the songs that I loved.
They were playing the joints.
They were playing the right joints.
Right.
It just wasn't transitioned right, or they didn't. There's these things that we call hitting the post, where it's like the song will play, then like a better play, the DJ will talk, and after I talk, the song starts automatically.
Right.
That's called hitting the post.
Right.
So back in those days of early radio, they never hit the post.
Right.
Never.
Right.
It was an unheard of thing.
Right.
It wasn't until like I got to like the early 90s or late 80s, I heard Wendy Williams hit the post for the first time. And she hit the post because she was doing math. Like they would record a break, they'd play it back, and then she would calculate how long it would take from the instrumental to her recording piece, so it would always be seamlessly on point. That to me was the most important thing when it came to radio. It had to be tight, no dead air, no whatever.
Yeah.
But when I listened to the old shows, I was like, this is horrible,
Yeah.
bro. This is horrible.
And if you see, that's what separated the pack.
Right.
Like Flash and them,
Right.
us, you know, Flash he was a natural.
No,
at
Flash
timing,
was Flash was tight.
I came from a musician's background, so I was tight because in some of our routines there was a routine where I got JDL. He was the one that originated. He and I originated. I came up with the idea. I taught it to him, and we brought it together. Where it's like I was playing Hut from the Commodores, right? The zoo. They call it the zoo, the assembly line.
Right.
Right. Right. So I told JDL, come up with an intro, and when I hit Hut, you say and. So he would go Charlie Chase done at that, and Chase is on the cut, and we go Hut, hey Hut and Hut and Hut and Hut. So it had to be tight.
Got you.
Those were 16ths.
Right.
You know?
Of
and
course.
we generated that. So
Damn, you could tell you're a musician, bro.
yeah.
You said no DJ says those are 16.
Yeah, right. So
Except
you had the knowledge, or you were natural. Like Flash was a natural at it. DST, he was a musician.
Another
also.
one.
So look, for me as a fan of them, when I look at who cut on beat, you're looking at Red Alert, Jazzy J, Charlie Chase, Theodore, Flash, DST. We're the most famous, probably. I'm younger than them, so I don't know. I can't comment on anyone else. But when my brothers were all disco DJs.
Yes.
My brother actually was the first person to play Planet Rock on the radio during a battle of the DJs in 1982. He actually battled Jelly Bean Benitez and beat him.
I have the tape.
Yeah. I sent you the link.
You sent
yeah,
I heard that one.
So the thing is that, in my house, there was this little civil war. because I was
Can you
into
imagine that, bro?
my brothers were mostly disco DJs. My oldest brother was the first person I saw break, but when it came to their ability as DJs, they were considered master mixers.
Right.
You know,
All right. So with the 50 years of hip hop, I'm sure you guys had interviews out the wazoo and shows and concerts, all kinds of things. Is there anything you guys would have did differently? A celebration of it. That's it.
I'm missing the question. We would have been done differently in the past?
No.
this year.
This year.
Oh.
If you were in charge of celebrating hip hop, 50 years of hip hop, would you have done anything different than anybody's done?
You go first.
Yeah, because I throw events,
Yeah.
and he throws events also, but I would have had, I would have made sure that the Latino contribution was celebrated, because you have people there who contributed, and we were massively overlooked. When you talk about, and I put it this way, I did the numbers. The first hip hop tour ever done was the New York City rap tour, AKA the Roxy tour. Even on that tour, I did the numbers. I counted everyone who was on that tour, and it was almost 50-50. 50% Latino, 50% Black. I'm not saying that it was 50-50 from the beginning, but that tour that brought hip hop to the world, it was that. I mean, just on Rocksteady Crew alone, we had so many Latinos in Rocksteady Crew. But when you look at the numbers and you see, and it's sad that we have to even look at it that way, because that's not the way I grew up.
Right.
But we were absolutely overlooked, and I also feel like a lot of the MCs who were considered the backpack era were almost completely forgotten, almost as if they didn't exist.
Gotcha.
And I think that's a problem too, because if you're talking about the people who are actually what rap is supposed to be in terms of lyricists, metaphors, cadence, all that stuff,
Right.
those were the dudes who have all of that.
So you think we leaned too
commercial.
too commercial and too far back, maybe?
Not too far. I think there just wasn't a balance. I think there wasn't any real recognition for the dance. There wasn't no real recognition for the art. And I think it's really about whatever was mass produced as a product was going to be celebrated most, and that's music, because rap music, you can sell records, you can sell, downloads, all that other stuff. But at the end of the day, if you look at the foundation of what built the industry, everything was presented at the same time, whether it be the New York City Rap Tour, whether it be the Wild Style Tour, even if you're talking about the biggest spotlight on hip hop at that time, when Flashdance came out and we did that scene, it took breaking global in one short scene.
Bro, I told you before, I probably saw that movie 14 times
Yeah.
in a 3-day span. My boy's mom was a manager at the movie theater in Brooklyn. I think it was the Oceana. Anyway, so I would cut school, and me and my boys would hang with his mom at the movie theater. She would let us in, and I would sit there all day. And we watched the movie, and I know it's exactly like after the I Love Rock and Roll part with Joan Jett, that's when you guys come in. And you have the brown jacket on with the bucket hat, and you're doing your thing. And then who's the guy with the umbrella? What's
Mr.
his name?
Freeze.
Mr. Freeze.
Yeah.
Yo, bro.
Iconic.
It's like, I watched that over and over again. That clip was probably, a minute and a half, 2 minutes?
Probably.
If that?
If that,
So
yeah.
imagine, I watched that movie over and over again just to fucking
Just to
watch
see that.
part.
Yeah.
That's it.
And even when it comes to like reviving careers, because we were breaking in that, I ended up getting a call from Jimmy Castor one day, and he tells me, hey, because of you guys dancing to my music and Flashdance, it revived my career.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
So again, it's like,
That's true.
We're talking about one of the all-time funk legends in music, with some of the most legendary songs. If there's like a top 5 of national anthems for hip hop, It's Just Begun is easily one of them.
Facts.
Yeah.
How does the Rocksteady Crew get a record deal in 1983
Exploitation.
or whatever it was? Is that what it was?
Yeah, we were exploited, man. That was just man. We're talking about.
You remember your lyrics?
Not at all. Not
Cut
really.
it out.
I was never into it.
How do you not know the lyrics?
We hated
to the song?
the music. We hated the music that we
All I
did.
can remember was, hey, you, the Rocksteady Crew.
Yeah,
That's it.
We hated the music. It was interesting. One interesting moment was like when we met Richard Branson, because he was the owner of Virgin Records, and
Facts, yeah.
we were on Charisma Records, which was a subsidiary of Virgin.
Virgin, yep.
And we go to perform for the Queen in '83 in the UK, and Richard Branson has dinner with us, and he's like, hey, we're gonna have some champagne. He was like giving minors liquor. But then he's like, what kind of champagne you want? We were like, we want Moet, because we were down hip hop. And he goes, Moet is shit. When you go back, tell all your rapper friends it's Cristal. So he's like Louis Rodier Cristal. That's the good stuff. So we had Cristal.
Right.
We were probably the first people in hip hop to have Cristal.
I believe it.
I don't know what Run and them was getting at that time, but I mean, for us to be up there with Richard Branson having Cristal was pretty interesting.
That's why it's a big deal, man, because you guys broke barriers that nobody else did. DJ Enuff never got to go to freaking meet the Queen. You know what I'm saying? Charlie Chase didn't either. It's crazy.
Well, remember, man, at that time, everything we did was new.
That's right.
Everything.
That's right.
Every single thing we did was new, or whether it was something that we were good at already or experimental.
Facts. Mm-hmm.
So it was all new. We grew up in the best time of hip hop, man, the discovery era.
That's it.
We were there for it all, and I, if I could do those days all over again, I would. With a couple of changes and a couple of mistakes.
What would you change?
Some of my business decisions.
I'm sure we all did. Yeah.
When it was at the first music seminar, the very first one, we were just signing
87,
something like that. No, I think it was before that. We were just signing to Tough City Records, and a CBS executive stepped up to me. He just saw me on the Wheels of Steel performing, because this was pre-battles. Remember they used to have the battles and stuff? This was pre-battles. Me and WizKid were doing all the exhibitions for them.
Wow.
So this guy, an executive from CBS Records, shows up and he says, yo, I would love to talk to you about a record deal. Now, me, two things. I'm loyal, which was one thing that if I had better business sense, I would have been at that moment. I was loyal, and I felt we were already signed to Tough City Records, and then I directed the guy from Tough City Records. And I think that would have, if I could change that moment, if I could change that moment right there, I think that it would have been a different type of history for us, man.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you one thing, I instead of like trying to change things, because there's a lot that we can complain about and debate about.
We're not gonna do that.
I felt like when thankfully Fat Joe reached out to me, he's like, yo, I need you on stage at Yankee Stadium. I was like, say less.
Yo, bro, the big flag, the PR flag, that was monumental,
This is what happened.
Monumental.
The day before, we were doing the rehearsals, thunder and lightning out there. I'm looking out, and I'm thinking like, wow, last time I was here, Bad Bunny was here, and the amount of pride, Latino pride, and then I also saw like black and white people singing along lyrics that like they don't even know what they're saying, but they had to be in the know, they had to know the lyrics, so they learned them, and it was a beautiful vibe, and it had me walking away like, wow, Bad Bunny is a cultural revolutionary. And then I was like, I gotta wave a flag tomorrow.
You know who Bad Bunny is now?
Huh?
He's the new king of pop.
He deserves it.
I'm sorry, he's the new king of pop.
He's running the planet right now, bro.
So he inspired me a year later to say, okay, I need to bring a flag out here. I want to get a double-sided flag because we have so many Dominicans here. I wanted a Puerto Rican side and a Dominican side flag. We couldn't find it, and I end up getting a flag the next day, a few hours before. No flagpole. Flag is wrinkled, needs to be steamed. I get it steamed. Got no flagpole. I'm getting stressed out. I'm like, all right, I got to do this ghetto style. I'm running up to an employee in Yankee Stadium. I go up to this dude. I'm like, yo, man, you Puerto Rican? You Latino? What's up? He goes, yeah, man. I'm like, you work here? He's like, yeah, man. I'm like, yo, man, I got a flag, man. It needs to be waved. We the only Latinos performing tomorrow.
I need a broomstick.
I need a flagpole, man. He goes, yo. And this is funny, and his name is Fred. He goes, yo, man, don't even worry about it. I got you. I know who you are. And he's younger. He goes, yo, man, you chased my brother out of Botanical Gardens back in the days.
No way.
Yeah, in the Bronx. And I remember it was like his brother. Anyway, it wasn't his brother's fault. It was one of his boys' fault. But he's like, but I got you anyway.
That's love.
He comes with he gets a pole, cuts it or whatever he does, finds tape, tapes it up red, white, and blue, and brings me this flag. And you know, the day before I told Joe, okay, where do I go? This is the stage, here's the runway. He goes, yeah, nah, Legs, just stay back here on this part of the stage. You don't have to go out on the runway. But you know, when I came out with the flag initially, there was a nice roar. I'm like, I didn't expect that.
Oh, it was a big roar.
It was, yeah. And then when I walked out onto the runway towards the end of our thing, me and B-Boy Gravity, I walk out there and the crowd got so loud. I'm thinking, oh shit, this is a moment. Something's happening right now. And the thing is that what made me feel good is that black, white, Asian, Latino, everybody felt like, let's celebrate that. And my last dance became more about the flag than me.
Right.
Which I'm totally cool with. Because I had Latinos come up to me after and said, yo, you know what? That was the Puerto Rican flag, but that was for all of us.
That's what's up.
And I felt good that I could do that and make sure that Latinos were recognized and felt celebrated.
Yeah.
Think I say more? We'll leave it on that note. Charlie Chase, Crazy Legs, DJ Enuff. This was Go Talk.